Today we've got a super exciting episode planned for you guys. We're here in Coffin Bay at Experience Coffin Bay and we're going to do an oyster farm tour.
So today is going to be a bit of a different one. We're going to get some information on oysters, ways they are farmed and why this area in Coffin Bay is notorious for oysters. So we're going to get all the information for you guys and hopefully have a good day. It is howling, full disclaimer. I hope the audio is good today, but it is like 30 knots and it's choppy as all hell. So
we'll give it our best shot.
Yeah, we'll give it a crack and yeah, it should be a good one. So let's get into it.
Joining us today, my name is Scott, this is Tanya. A bit of COVID information to start with. When I'm talking, I then become a performer and I'm allowed to remove my mask. So lifelong ambition fulfilled for me there today. A bit about the tour today. We're going to take you out into the heart of Coffin Bay. It's about 20 k's out there. Going to take us around half an hour to get there. You need to get some waders on and go for a walk around the lease and get nice and close to those baskets and take photos and just experience that. Once we've done that, we'll leave there. We'll head over towards the national park. Hopefully the dolphins got my email last night and they're sitting there waiting for us. That'll be great. Sit back and relax, guys, and we'll get you out into the bay.
Driven out to the oyster farm lease and we're going to have a little walk around through the oyster farm. It's kind of heavy.
That's an oyster that we grow, that's the size sort of about 18 months, that's our biggest profit margin, that's what we sort of shoot for, it's a plate, and this is what happens after 8 years.
That's insane.
So,
how's that thing?
Yeah.
That's about a couple hundred grams, eh?
I reckon about 400 grams.
That's insane. And how old is this one?
That'd be about 8 years old now, and you can just tell by the colour of the shell and everything else, but they'll actually live for 25 years and grow up to 30 centimetres long.
Yeah, rightio.
So, yeah, they can grow into a momentous oyster. And I don't know if I'd like to try and eat one that big, but hey, what do you reckon? You're going to give one a crack today?
I'll have a crack. I reckon we should halve it with Sarah maybe, because I don't know if I can do the whole thing.
You can't halve an oyster. It's just, you've got to eat the whole thing.
Yeah, and you do say that it's not about the size of the oyster, it's how you use it. Is that correct?
Well, whatever, yeah. But nah.
Is it an aphrodisiac like everyone says as well?
Well, Casanova used to have 60 oysters for an entree.
Yeah, rightio.
So 5 up. Full of vitamin and minerals, so healthy mind, healthy body.
Yeah.
What more could I have to say on
that?
Okay,
sweet. Nice and salty too, I'm guessing.
Yeah, definitely. But we'll give you a lemon wedge with it as well, just to wash it down.
No worries. So, and you were saying before they actually get bigger than this.
Oh yeah, they'll grow up to 30 centimetres long.
Yeah,
so
that's
they're
insane.
an absolute massive oyster.
Yeah.
And there's a guy out there at the moment that's his only goal is to get into World's Guinness Book of Records for the world's biggest Pacific oyster. I reckon that one would probably be about 400 grams. His oyster's weighing in at about 1.3 kilos.
Wow, that's insane.
You know, and I mean that one's not even a teenager yet.
Yeah, that's insane. So what would an oyster like this retail for?
They were selling them in the Sarans restaurant, the Port Lincoln Hotel. They were marketed as a king oyster.
Yeah.
Last known price in the restaurant before the farmer ran out of them, because obviously they take so long to grow, was 150 fat ones.
Wow.
Any way you wanted it.
That's insane.
If you wanted it with a bit of champagne sauce, a bit of a gimmick, but a lot of people that came from overseas wanted to tick that box of trying a king oyster. And yeah, and so they buy it. But I've actually eaten one bigger than that. It was absolutely sensational.
In one sitting?
Yeah, a bit of a story. First oyster farm I ever worked at, I'd only just started, and there was a young fella working there as well. He came up to me with an oyster. I was just on the floor sewing up the harvest bags. He came up to me with an oyster that covered my whole hand.
Wow.
It was near Pacific, nearly perfectly round, which you can get them to do if you look after them extremely. And he said, hey Scotty, you want to eat this? And I went, oh yeah, I want to eat it. I love oysters. So he cracked it open for me, and I'm like chew, trying to get this thing down. Got it down. It was absolutely next level beautiful. 20 minutes later, the boss came back from running errands down the street, and he took the shell up to him and showed him. And that's when all the really bad language started echoing out the shed. And that's when we found out I'd just eaten his gold medal hopes for the Royal Sydney Show.
Yeah, rightio.
And the best part was I didn't get into trouble. Yeah. I just ate it. He was the one that killed it, not me. So.
How much would that have been worth?
Priceless to the boss. It was perfectly round. It was absolutely perfection. He'd had that oyster 7 years. He'd looked after it. He'd just done everything right by it. I could hear him screaming through the shed, "Why would you do that?" And I'm thinking, why would you do that? Completely oblivious.
I'm sure you enjoyed it though, mate.
Oh, it was awesome. It was absolutely fantastic. So
epic. As long as they didn't try to retrieve it from you, mate.
No.
Once it's gone, it's gone.
I wasn't even allowed to keep a shell.
Really?
Which is
take it back. Yeah,
it was his shell.
He'll probably put it on his wall at home.
Yeah,
so.
He's probably got it mounted somewhere.
In his shed. No worries, mate. Well, thanks for that. We'll have a crack at this, I reckon.
No worries.
Sweet.
Sounds good. We will open that up for you, and they're not real easy to open either. So
rightio, a couple screwdrivers.
Oh, the last one was a screwdriver jobby. That's for sure. You want me to go and see if I can find a bigger one?
Well, I'll have a crack at a bigger one. Yeah.
I'll go and see. I'll just go and measure them all up, and if I can find a bigger one, because you don't want to be outdone by your mate. I reckon it's just a little bit bigger. It's a little bit heavier. You can see how deep the cup is. It's probably a good at least 2.5 inches there in the cup. I think we'll fill the shell, and this one just a little bit bigger, and it's going to be in sensational condition. This oyster is actually what we call a triploid. We've had this oyster for a very long time. Triploid meaning it doesn't spawn in the summer, which means in the summertime it's super duper fat, which is full of flavour, and you can tell that by the little curly tail he's got there. Whereas diploids, like this one here, you can see that he hasn't got the curved tail, he's just got a flat tail. See how it's flat? This one's curved up like a sort of a elves hat, you know what I mean? Yep. So diploid, meaning it spawns, which means it hasn't got that good condition in the summertime. Triploid, meaning it doesn't spawn, which means in the summertime it's sensational, and you're going to have your work cut out there.
Epic. I'll do it. Easy.
I'm going to have my work cut out there trying to get him open, because after about 8 years he's not going to give up without a fight, that's for sure.
Everyone heard you say that it's easy.
Yeah.
Get the angle grinder out, mate.
Oh, I feel like it. Just cut the top off and move it in, yeah. Mightn't be too good for the oyster though, but yeah.
Epic.
So I'll put him back for another day, and this is today's challenge. That one there. And the mussels are a pain to us, so yeah, we just sort of have to cull them now and again. And you know what, as far as eating them, just as easy to go to the shop and buy a bag for about $7.
Yeah, exactly.
All bearded for you, nice and clean, don't have to scrub all the weed off them. They're good fish curly though.
So we're getting back on board now, the ship, and we're gonna pull up the stumps here and hopefully go eat some oysters. Scotty's got that massive one for us to eat, so I'm gonna have a red hot crack at that. No confirming that I'm gonna get it down though, so don't hold me to that. I might put it back on the table after I try to eat it, so we'll see what happens.
Pacific oysters on the planet, which is a massive call because they are growing everywhere from Mexico, West Coast United States, Scotland, France, Japan, New Zealand, Australia. Anywhere they're growing oysters in a really large volume, chances are that they're going to be Pacific oysters because they're relatively easy to grow and they taste pretty good as well. So why are ours better? So in 1991 they took the bold step and came out to where we are here today, called the Horse Peninsula Zone. Fill that up full of farms and oysters, come out a couple of months later, do a quality check, and boom, fattest Pacific oysters ever. Turn Coffin Bay around from, yeah, we can grow oysters like anywhere on the planet, to we can grow some seriously good looking oysters. But lots of places on earth can grow seriously good looking oysters. What makes ours better than anywhere else? Look at Coffin Bay. Population, 650 people, no factories, no pollution, no industry, just a really nice, quiet, small country town. Another thing we've got happening for us out to the north of Coffins, or out to these ranges you can see out here, all of that land is farmland, so it's also very lowly populated. And all the farming that we do here on Lower Eyre Peninsula is what we call dry land farming, which means we use 1/3 of the chemicals that they do in some parts of Eastern Australia, New South Wales, Victoria and Tassie, which we simply do not have the rainfall to support that large chemical usage, which means we don't have the fallout coming into our environment either. Another good thing we've got happening for us, no major streams or rivers flow into Coffin Bay. Final thing we've got happening for us is the bay system itself. A lot of magic happening here. But the magic coming from WA is a current called the Lewin current, and that's a warm water current coming from the opposite direction, beginning its journey in Antarctica, flowing up to the coast of Tassie, and then along that shelf line is another current called the Flinders current, and that's a cold water, super nutrient rich current. Generally what happens is the warm water stays shallow, the cold water remains deep, the two currents pass over each other and continue their journey around the southern hemisphere, allowing that nutrient-rich water to burst up over the edge of our continental shelf out of 2,500 metres of water into 100 metres of water. It sees sunlight for the very first time, and that's where all the phytoplankton and microalgae, the oysters, all the food the oysters eat here in Coffin Bay, that's where it grows, is out there, not in our bay system here. Obviously, it's a long way out, but luckily for us, we've got southwesterly trade winds and southwesterly swells pushing it closer and closer toward Coffin Bay. When it gets about 20 miles off our coast, that's where the bay system comes into its own. We've got this little peninsula, which is the one behind me here, Point Longnose. You can see the shacks over there. That's this little bay here. That's called Little Douglas. That gap there is the only entrance into Coffin Bay. And it's really, really shallow and really, really narrow in places as well. So when the tide starts to come in, it creates a huge suction effect, a bit like pulling the plug from the bath. If you had a bottle of food colouring and tipped up the end of the bath plug, you would see it slowly making its way toward the plug hole. And that's what our tidal movement does. It starts to act like a giant magnet, pulling that food closer and closer and closer, till eventually it bursts through that little gap here. And that's why this body of water turned Coffin Bay around from so-so to so awesome, because every single oyster out here is just sitting in the dining room waiting for that food to arrive.
Ready?
Right for a drink. Don't need to pop up to wash your oysters.
Sorry.
What do you reckon?
That's really yum. So good with lemon. Yum.
Try one with the Tabasco.
With the green one.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's a lot.
Oh my god.
Good?
So good. You try some.
Here we go.
Oh, do you want to pop the window? I mean, we'll be heading off shortly, but it's a bit stuffy.
So, I'm trying to save myself for the main course because this is just entree. Let's have a crack. And the Tabasco. Oh, there's the seed. Get that seed out. Ready? That is seriously good. Tabasco and lemon. That's really good.
So normally in a fight, they say, what, the gloves are off. In this case, however, the gloves are on. Definitely on, because he is not going to give up without a fight. He's going to eat this bad boy, apparently. And if he doesn't, oh, the shame.
The shame. I can feel it already.
What's that? Yeah. Yeah, if he eats it, he can have it.
I'll have the cleaning fee if it doesn't. It might be more than the oyster.
Alright, we're in.
Oh, look at all that coming out of there.
Warning, the following scene might contain groaning and moaning. You got it.
Oh, I'm getting him.
Holy moly, I can see it.
That'd be a lot of meat. Just got to chew.
Alright.
You got right next to me. Need the screwdriver yet, Scotty?
Oh, I got him. Look at that.
Wow, I'm just going to rinse him in the water to get that bit of shell out that I chipped off.
Yeah.
Oyster closed. That's actually the sweetest meat.
Yeah.
Just try this by itself. Seriously, so good. Say something.
give it to Sarah. I reckon she's gonna. Sarah, oh, she's.
Where are you, Sarah? There you go.
Oh yeah, there we
Have a
go.
crack.
That's just the sweetest meat. Oh, that's nice.
Good.
Yeah, well, in Pacific Oyster, a lot of their crunch and a lot of their flavour.
Not quite as big as there.
Yeah, it is, eh? That's like the essence of the flavour, isn't it?
So big.
Look at that thing.
Wow.
Thanks, Scotty.
You are welcome. And we can put that in a bit of perspective for you there.
Oh, yeah.
Here we go. An 8-year-old oyster. I've got a few cameras on me now, so the pressure's on.
Oh, you're putting everything on it.
Well, why not? Alright, here we go. Is that going to slide out? Yeah. Alright, so cheers.
Oh, Keelan.
Beautiful.
Made it look easy.
Made it look easy. You got a bigger one?
We're just driving around Coffin Bay Inlet at the moment and we're looking for colonies of sea lions. So if you look out there, there's some lounging on the water there.
Thanks heaps for having us today, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure.
You're welcome.
Had so much fun. A few takeaways from today, guys. If you want a real resilient oyster, you treat them mean and keep them keen. It's not about the size of the oyster, it's how you use it. And if you want an experience similar to this, come see Experience Coffin Bay. They'll hook you up. Epic day on the water, and hopefully the weather is a bit better than it was today. So
Yep, we got it done though. That's the main
yeah,
thing.
that's it. It was still a heap of fun. So thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll see you next time.